Now, before we continue with the actual review, you have to know just one simple thing. That I freaking love Fallout, okay? And one of my favorite games of all time is Fallout New Vegas. I actually have a retail copy of this game, that's how much I love it. And it's one of my favorite franchises, it's pretty damn good, and this game, this one very game, changed my gamer life forever. I bought it many years ago, I think 2011, 2012, and it was one of the first games where I went, this is fantastic, this is pretty damn great. So I had really high hopes for Fallout 4, and here's what I have to say. Fallout 4 is an action RPG developed and published by Bethesda, and it's the latest game in the Fallout franchise, and it's getting relatively great reviews, especially from fans, but me myself, I was disappointed by the game. Now, don't click the dislike button, please, let me explain. The game is not bad, it's not a bad game, but it was disappointing, and let's see why. I'm not gonna spoil the story for you or any of the side quests. All I'm gonna say is that the intro to the game is perfect. You are with your wife and your kid, nuclear fallout happens, you go into a vault and something happens and you wake up 200 years later and you have to find your family again. And the intro to the game is pretty damn great. I was really invested into what was happening to my character, and the character customization was also really fun in the beginning. And then, after you leave the vault, it's completely put aside, the story. It's pretty much put aside completely. A couple of times we have some main quests to do, but they all feel way too linear. They're way too linear, and I did not like that, because in a game, for example, like Fallout New Vegas, it was a really build your own story game, and in a certain way also Fallout 3, where you only had to find your dad. But in this one it felt way too linear compared to the other games, and some of the choices that you have aren't all that meaningful except a couple of those, and that was a big disappointment. And also the side quests, they are good, as Bethesda usually does, they're pretty damn good, but none of them feel as memorable as ones in other Bethesda games, even in, I don't know, Skyrim or Oblivion or Fallout 3. There were tons of iconic missions, even after you played them you were like, that's a fucking great mission. In this one, they're good, they're really good quests, but in the end I won't remember all of them, barely a couple of them. And then I have another huge issue, is the dialogue. Because they completely changed the dialogue system. In the other games you had a list of answers that you could choose, and there were more than 4 answers. In here you have only 4 answers. 4. Okay, I guess, okay, and the writing isn't all that great. I'm not gonna lie, it's not all that great, because it's not bad. That's the problem with this game, it's not bad. But we've come to expect more from Bethesda, and getting this kind of story, this kind of quests, it's pretty disappointing. The game still uses the creation engine. Everyone hates it. I personally like it, and compared to something like Skyrim, it looks way better, and it's a really colorful world. And that's something that I really love, because Fallout New Vegas, way too yellow for my taste. Fallout 3 a little too green, and Skyrim a little too blue. Then in Fallout 4 we have color, actual color, and that's pretty damn great. And graphics, really good. The world also is pretty big, pretty varied, even though a couple of locations are confusing, especially the city one, it's a bit confusing. But it's still a really good open world environment to explore, as Bethesda does really well. Now, let's go to the good things first. The combat. They improved the combat a lot. Now it's actually fun to play around with enemies, shooting, using the VAT system, which now doesn't just stop time, it actually slows it down, so there's still a bit of edge in it, even though I don't really like that it constantly keeps changing the percentage of hitting an enemy, because come on, that's 65, 66, 67, 64, 60, always by the corner now. So you have to be faster about it, but that's not really a big issue to me. And you also have some really good choices with your companions. There's a good variety to them, and some of the choices that you make in the game actually matters compared in relation to the companions, and there are some good side quests with them. But other than that, I thought that they actually took a step backwards in some aspects. First of all, the whole skill tree perk system, it's not all that great. It's pretty confusing. The screen, it's not all that clear, which is also another big issue. The entire user interface is pretty confusing. They have not improved it, because I can get that you actually want to still use the Pip-Boy as something to use in game, which makes you emerge a little bit, but you could still try to make it a little bit easier to control. Some parts are really hard. Then they have also added the possibility to customize some settlements that you unlock. You can add some barriers, put some sofas, things like that. That's a really fun idea, but the controls for it are really garbage, and that's really disappointing to me. Also, the enemy AI isn't all that great as usual. You always have those enemies that keep running into a fence because I'm gonna kill you with my machete, and they just stays there, and you headshot him from afar. Then you also have the melee combat, which has been improved. You can now run in the game, which is pretty great. And that's pretty much it to the game. You also have a power arm. No, actually, there's a really bad part to the game, and it's the whole apparel section. Wearing actual clothing. It sucks now. I'm sorry, but it's really bad. Because in the other games you pretty much had a couple of choices. You can, I don't know, put a hat or an helmet, plus something to cover your chest and your legs. Here you actually have multiple choices. For example, you can have something on your left arm, something on your right arm, something on your left leg, something on your right leg. And that's interesting. But then if you actually get outfits, you can't have a gray suit with some armor on the sides and on the chest. No, you can't, because it does make sense, but that's not all that great. Either give me a really damn good armor, or just give me multiple clothing choices. I would prefer to actually have a t-shirt, jeans or pants, whatever, but not do this mishmash that gets really confusing and annoying in the long run, because you have tons of clothing to go through before you actually take the one that you want to wear. There are also power armors that you can get in this game, which are actual power armor. You get into them, you become a badass, you can go around, you're stronger, you're more powerful, you can use miniguns, and that was fun, I'm not gonna lie. Because in the Fallout games, I like to explore and get invested into a story, but with the bad dialogue system, I just had fun shooting around. But if I want to shoot around and have fun just shooting around, I play another FPS. I don't want to play a Fallout game. The game is fairly challenging. It's really hard, especially in the beginning, where you're trying to get some new loot, trying to get some great weapons to go around and fight enemies. But other than that, there isn't a real challenge, because the perk system has been changed almost entirely, and it's the entire charisma system having more intelligence or more science points. It's a little different from the other Fallout games, so there's a little bit more of luck to it, and also skill, of course. And I didn't find myself frustrated while playing the game, except of course in a couple of sections where I was surrounded by enemies. I loaded earlier to save, done. I don't go on the right, actually go to the left. And that was pretty easy to resolve. So the game is pretty challenging but not frustrating, as with most Bethesda games. The sound is actually a pretty good component of the game. I do really like that now your character actually talks. That makes sense. It really does. Even though some of the dialogue isn't all that great, the voice acting is damn good as always. And my favorite character is actually a guy on the radio is the only person using this thread and is thinks he's talking to basically no one. Is like, oh yeah, this was the song of let me check. Yeah, Nancy Sinatra, I guess. Yeah, I'm not so sure. By the way, it's just me. It's Station. Yeah, let's go to another song. I don't remember what it was. That was hilarious, and I love that guy. I really did love him. And you also have some really fantastic songs in the soundtrack, as always. I just like to explore the wasteland, listening to some cheerful tunes. That's always really, really good. Replayability, as always with a Bethesda game, is pretty damn good. You have the possibility to choose different outcomes in some sections, choose who lives, choose who dies, go on a killing spree and kill every single person inside a town or a city, and that's always fun to do. You also have multiple Steam achievements, there are DLC coming, there will be some new missions, new side quests, possibly new areas if I'm not mistaken, so that would be really fun to do. So, replayability pretty damn good as always. So in the end, Fallout 4 is a good game. It's not bad, it's good. Is it worth the $60? Right now, I would pay $40 if you can. If you can for $40, yeah, why not? And also, I would say to wait for some modders to come in, improve some aspects of the game, because right now there are also many bugs and some graphical glitches. But other than that, it's a pretty solid game, but ultimately it's disappointing from a Fallout standpoint, because as you can see, the score is pretty positive, but the story wasn't all that interesting, and it changed the gameplay way too much in my opinion. But I don't know, honestly, I don't know, because some people are loving this game a lot. Some reviewers like Jim Sterling gave it a 9.5 out of 10, which is mind-blowing in my opinion. But it's a good game, and if you enjoyed Fallout, you will have fun playing this game, but I don't think that you will actually love it in the long run. It is a good game, but not the GOTY that we expected. So guys, do you agree with my review? Probably not, but please don't kill me. We have different opinions, so just tell me your opinion in the comments below. Thanks for watching guys, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.